In today's show, we're looking ahead to the games for Saturday in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always, at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. This episode is brought to you by TrueBill. TrueBill is the new app that saves you money by helping you identify and stop paying for the subscriptions that you don't want or need, and can even negotiate better deals on those that you want to keep. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Earlier today, I dropped my NBA awards show for the month up until, for the season up until the end of November. So make sure you have checked that out. All NBA teams, all rookie teams, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man, Most Improved Player, Defensive Player of the Year on that as well. So make sure, and All-Star teams as well, if I already didn't mention that. So go and check that show out. We are here to look ahead to Saturday in the NBA. And the first game we're going to look at is the Nuggets taking on the New York Knicks. With the absences that Denver has in the backcourt, Facu Campazzo is putting up some interesting numbers. He's getting a lot of minutes. There is, of course, no Bones Highland, no Austin Rivers. So you're going to get pretty decent minutes of Facu, who's gone 27 minutes at least in, 5 of the last 6 games? He's an interesting steals guy, gets some assists, hits some threes. There might be some value streaming him in. So the value is there for him. And I want to see how Aaron Gordon looks as well. Because sometimes he'll have a good game, he'll have a stinker other games. He is a little bit all over the shop in terms of his overall production. But obviously, with no Michael Porter and no Jamal Murray, there is an opportunity for him to hopefully be able to establish himself with a better run at things. While for the Knicks, I want to watch Alec Burks.
Alec Burks.
Big minutes. I'd caution against predicting him playing 39 or 40 minutes a game, which he has the last 3. 2 of those games have been without Rowan Barrett, so I think that does. And one of those, and the one that wasn't without Barrett was without Derrick Rose. So I think he probably settles into a 34, 35-minute role, but 39 is possible. He's a must-roster player. Struggled a little bit last game, but still played 43 minutes because his coach is insane. So let's see how the playing time shakes out for him in this matchup. And then also the diseased scrotum, Evan Fournier. I imagine that he keeps starting over Emmanuel quickly. He's been a little bit better of late. I still think he's more fringy for 12-team leagues, but there's nothing wrong with holding on to him rather than him being like a must roster. He is fine as a guy that you can hold. Let's go on to the Chicago Bulls.
It's Big Vucevic.
Last 2 games from Vuce have been really impressive. I would caution a little bit with him in terms of, is he all the way back? The last 4 games, he's shooting 55% from 3. That is really, really improving his numbers. On the flip side to that, he's been like a horrendous free throw shooter, like 60% or lower this season. I don't know whether that's going to come back to being good again. It's been weird that it's been so poor for so long. But the recent play has been fueled by a gigantic spike in three-point percentage. It's helped his usage go up. Everything else has gone up. He's looked good, but let's see how it looks in this game. Well, I also want to watch Derrick Jones Jr., who I always think provides a nice little spark for them off the bench. That probably is his best role. He's playing a ton of backup center. They're not playing any other backup center apart from him. And he can be at times a defensive stats streamer. For the Nets, Nick Claxton. Now, how Claxton looks, what his role is, it is a back-to-back. So is there a chance that he doesn't play the back-to-back? Is there a chance he plays a bigger role in the back-to-back because LaMarcus Aldridge is out? What are they going to do with Claxton in this game and that center rotation? Big questions there. And then also Patty Mills, who's been pretty good, but at least recently the numbers have dipped a little bit. The shooting has fallen off, which was always something we cautioned with Mills when he was shooting at 56%. There was going to be a drop-off. Let's hope that he can get those numbers back on track. The Heat and the Bucks. Tyler Hero.
Everyone has a hero.
True.
0 people shouldn't have a hero.
This is a back-to-back for Miami. Hero is going to be in a big role because Jimmy Butler is out. Markieff Morris remains out as well. So what Hero is able to do here, I'm just interested to see what his usage rate looks like. Can his really high efficiency numbers continue, or is he going to take a bit of a hit in that area? And then Gabe Vincent, who has also been playing at a higher level. 31, 29, and 28 minutes the last 3 games. Should get like 25 at least in this one, with everyone who is currently injured on this squad. And watching how that plays out is always pretty interesting. He can be at least a stream option. While for the Bucks, it is going to be the second game for Boogie Cousins after making his debut a couple of days ago. What does his role look like? Cousins played 15 minutes in his first game. He'll be backing up Bobby Portis, but is he going to get to 20 minutes a night? How much are they going to run Giannis if he even plays at center? That's going to be interesting. Well, Pat Connaughton did start last game for Giannis. He was pretty poor in that one. He has somehow maintained 12-team value this season. I honestly think it's a mirage, but while he's still doing it, let's just keep rolling with it and see where it ends up over the course of the next few weeks. But I'm going to tell you, if you have subscriptions that you don't want or need, you know where it's going to end up. It's going to end up with you paying more money. Nobody wants that. You could, I'm sure, like many of us, like I did, you went into subscription overload during the peak of the COVID pandemic. It happens. You can take back control of your subscriptions with TrueBill. TrueBill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions that you don't want or need, or that you simply forgot about. People can save, on average, up to $720 a year with TrueBill. Because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, TrueBill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts and TrueBill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. Your TrueBill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions so you don't have to. So don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. Go right now. That's truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. It could save you thousands a year. truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. The next game, the Grizzlies and the Mavericks. The wave pool, DeAnthony Melton. It's very hard to read much into that game against the Thunder, but I'll tell you what, I saw that Melton looked really good. Now, I also have zero faith that Taylor Jenkins is going to play him 22-plus minutes, despite the absence of Ja Morant, because you've got to get Dylan Brooks out there jacking up as many shots as possible. It's always key to a winning squad. So let's see what Melton's role looks like. He's a 12-team league guy for now, but can he maintain that? Is he going to be your worst player, your 10th best player? That's what I want to watch. Well, Santi Aldama. It's easy to write it off as a big performance in a 73-point victory against the Oklahoma City Thunder, which you should do to a degree. But Aldama has been a rotation player for the 3 games prior to that, 12, 10, and 15 minutes. It is helpful that Zaire Williams is out and Kyle Anderson missed last game, but he has forced a rotation role. So can Aldama be a deeper league option? Keep an eye on it. The Dallas Mavericks going into a back-to-back. Kristaps Porzingis is doubtful for Friday. I don't know if that's just a rest thing and he'll be back or not, but I want to see what Maxi Kleber's role is. Kleber had pushed to 30 minutes. In the last 2 games, he's gone to 25 and 16, which is really disappointing. I think that Kleber is by far the best option for them instead of Cauley Stein or Powell or Moses Brown, for God's sake. Let's see what Kleber's role looks like. If he only gets 25 again, then it's really hard to consider him must roster. And then also watching Dorian Finney-Smith, whose role is fine, although his minutes have been under 30 for 3 consecutive games. 2 of those blowouts, of course. Watching what he's able to do and whether he can be anything more than a streamer is pretty interesting, I think. Let's look at the San Antonio Spurs. And people were right to call me out when I did my award show. I didn't have DeJounte Murray on my All-Star team. I stand by that. But in terms of not mentioning him as someone who was close to the discussions, it was wrong. He was in my discussions. I just forgot to mention him on that show. He's been great. So let's watch what he can do again. He's just carrying this team really, really at a high level. Love what he's been doing. And let's see him do it again against the Warriors. And then, interestingly, Thad Young is in the rotation now ahead of Drew Eubanks as the backup center. 15-minute a night, Thad Young's not a 12-team league player. It's probably more of a 16-teamer. But just keeping an eye on him and seeing what his minutes look like. Does he maintain that rotation role, or do they go back to someone like Eubanks as the backup center? Well, for the Warriors, Jordan Poole, we're always trying to extract as much value out of Poole as possible with the impending return of Klay Thompson in the coming weeks. Poole is going to have a large role regardless of Thompson. It just probably won't be quite as large, but watching him will be interesting. And then it is a second half of back-to-back. So does that mean that Otto Porter won't play? He sat out back-to-backs previously this year. If he is out and Andre Iguodala remains out, then maybe we're going to get a big game from Juan Toscano Anderson. So deeper leagues or slightly deeper leagues, Toscano Anderson may become a stream when we get that confirmation that Porter is actually out. The Clippers and the Kings. I want to see if we can find a role for BJ Boston on this Clippers team. I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked good most of the time that he's played, especially last game where he's forced into 24 minutes. Now, Paul George will return in this game, but is there a way to get minutes into BJ? That's what we want to know. And then Serge Ibaka, who, minutes have been a bit all over the place. Started last game, struggled. Yeah, is there any chance of him being a 12-team league guy? I don't believe so, but I'd like to watch that. And then for the Kings, Chimezie Metu, who has played better of late. I don't know whether he's going to start or not, but 23, 36, and 23 minutes the last 3 games. We don't know the status of the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. So Metu, at the very least, is at least a stream option here. And then Tyrese Halliburton, who I think's had some struggles of late. Not at his best. I think he's a buy low fantasy player, but watching how he looks alongside De'Aaron Fox under Alvin Gentry is something that I'm still trying to get my head around, and I know it hasn't been good so far, so let's see what he is able to do here in this one. The Celtics and the Trailblazers is the next game we're going to take a look at, and I'd like to see the minutes of the Rock DJ, Robbie Williams. Will they continue to close games with Schroeder over Williams like they did last time? Can Rob go up? These last 2 games have been 23 and 25 minutes. Is he going to push back to that 30 that he was getting earlier in the season? I mean, he was playing like 38 minutes a night. Watching what his minutes are going to be is really interesting for me. And with Jaylen Brown out on Friday, we don't know if he'll play on Saturday, but it was very clear that his hamstring was playing up. And then thank you, Ime Udoka, when asked the question here, Jaylen, how's his hamstring? Oh, nothing's wrong with him. What are you blokes talking about? You guys are full of shit, mate. You guys all right? Need your eyes tested? Mate, you might want to get some glasses on. You didn't see nothing out there. And of course, 1 game later, Jaylen Brown's out with a hamstring issue. So we will see whether Jaylen actually plays and whether that means that Langford gets back into the rotation. Now, that doesn't really mean anything for fantasy value at all. But Langford was taken out last game so that Enes Kanter Freedom was able to stay in the rotation. I think that was just a Sixers thing, so I think Langford's going to play regardless, but we want to watch that. While for the Blazers, they did fire Neil O'Shea. Good. Should have been fired ages ago. He's gone. Whether that... I have been slightly nudged to suggest that maybe O'Shea's firing may actually facilitate some trades that he was very against. Namely, maybe one of the players that start in that backcourt. Well, I guess we will find out. Maybe Yusuf Nurkic. We will find out. But a new voice in there, or maybe a voice that's not being a toxic prick, allowing decisions to be made that actually benefit the team might help. We'll see. Might help facilitate or grease the wheels of some of these deals. We'll see. We don't know. Anthony Simons rolled his ankle starting for Damian Lillard. Is he going to play? If he's not, fire up your Dennis Smiths, because Dennis Smith is going. Look, Dennis Smith could easily have 3 steals, 2 blocks, 6 assists with 4 points on 2 of 12 shooting or something like that. They could very easily do that. But the assists, steals, and blocks that he can bring as a point guard are really interesting. And then, can Norman Powell be consistently good? The answer is probably no. He did have a nice little consistent run in Toronto, but in Portland, I've been, I guess, underwhelmed with his efficiency numbers, and with the higher usage with Lillard out, it hasn't gone particularly well so far. I think he's a hold. That may not last, but I do think he is a hold for now. And I'll tell you what you want to be holding in your hand come Christmas time. Built Bars. The kids are going to be like, Santa, who's that? Look at Josh with his box of Built Bars. Josh, can I have one of your bars? Everyone can have them. There are so many great flavors here. Kids, fuel up. Adults, fuel up. So many flavors. Pick which one do you want? Do you want cookies and cream? You can have that one. Chocolate caramel? No, salted caramel? That's the one. You can have that one. Mint brownie? That's for you, Betty. Everyone get their favorite flavor of Built Bar. And don't argue. I don't want you guys getting passionate and throwing hands based on flavors of Built Bar. There are enough to go around for everybody. If we're going to fight about something, let's fight about something stupid, like whether DeJounte Murray should have made the All-Star, my fake All-Star team in November. Let's fight about I don't know, something controversial in your family, which I'm sure there are plenty of those things around. So why don't you get your Built Bar, but don't do what these ads tell me to do. Dip it in a cup of cocoa. For a start, cocoa's gross. No, thank you. And why would you ruin the integrity of a Built Bar? By dipping it into a drink. Just smash that bloke down. Straight in the gob, you're good. So go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15, get those boxes. I'm telling you, you will not regret getting a box of Built Bar. They are the best tasting protein bars ever. And those of you that have ordered them, you know that I'm not bullshitting. Go and get some. Built.com, the promo code is LOCKED15. Let's look at some stream options for 9 categories. There is no back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, so we're looking at stream options here. Faku, Dorian Finney-Smith, DeAndre Bembry, Javonte Green, PJ Tucker, Terrence Mann, and George Hill. An altogether uninspiring group of blokes, but maybe that can have value for you. For deeper leagues, we're looking at Campasso and Green and Hill and Gabe Vincent and Juan Toscano Anderson. Joshy Richardson, Jermichael Green could be options for you also. And then lastly, let's go to the old points leagues. Tyus Jones, Monty Morris, Muxie Kleber, The Undertaker, Dwayne Dedman still available. Emmanuel Quickly, and Faku Campazzo. That will do it for us today, guys. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. If you're here on YouTube, thumb it up, leave your comments, share it with everybody, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.